we are stuck, it's because there is this core belief system that is standing in the way, that is affecting what we're doing and the actions that we're taking. And so the work really is to go in there and diagnose the problem and change the whole story that you are drawing from, which is creating how you're showing up in life. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that I think is just so important and I really love sharing with people. It's about how to get unstuck. Because I think a lot of us it's pretty obvious when we're not where we want to be in life yet. You know, like it's really easy to see the gap of like, I'm here, I really want to be here, and we just don't know how to get there a lot of the times. We don't know how to bridge that gap. And this is something that I've seen come up a lot. And anybody that I've ever supported in helping make big changes in their life, big positive changes, oftentimes people think they know what the problem is, but they actually don't know. And so what I want to do in today's video is to help you understand how to truly identify what the problems are that are keeping you stuck. So if you're at this impasse in your life and you just don't know how to get to where you want to be in life yet, you've tried all kinds of stuff, nothing sticks, then please stick around for today's video. What I'm going to share with you literally applies across the board, whether you're trying to lose weight, save more money, meditate more, whatever your personal development goals are, be it for your physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual health, this will help. So when we are in the process of improving some area of our life, oftentimes we can be very engrossed in the problem. And the problem, the way that it's showing up in your life, and I'll give you some examples, that's just the symptom. So let me elaborate. So let's say that you're trying to fix your sleep schedule. And you find that you have the tendency to stay up late scrolling on your phone. And so you think that the problem is the scrolling on Instagram on your phone. But what I'm saying is that's actually a symptom of something deeper. So using this example, why are you scrolling on Instagram? Is it because you actually care what's on Instagram? Probably not. Or is it that you're avoiding going to sleep because you don't want to wake up in the morning because you hate your job? So then, now that we've unpacked that, we'd want to go one level deeper and say, okay, so like, why are you in a job that you hate? And it could be something like, well, I didn't even really want to be in this industry, but I had pressure from my parents because my dad was a doctor and now I'm a doctor. Or it can be, well, I don't believe that I really want to start a business, like my hobby, my passions are somewhere else, but I don't actually believe in my ability to make money. Right? And so can you start to see how underneath that, there's actually all of these core limiting beliefs that are driving your behavior, right? And there's so many different levels of this, right? So even if you suddenly just like stop scrolling on Instagram before you go to bed, you'll find some other reason to keep yourself up. Next thing you know, you're just gonna be like scrolling on YouTube or doing any deep cleaning your bathtub, like any reason to avoid going to sleep because you don't want to wake up in the morning because you have a super unfulfilling job. And the reason why you have that job is because of all of these core limiting beliefs underneath. This applies to any type of big behavioral change that you're trying to make in your life. I really just want to encourage you, when you see something that you're like, I could do better in this area, like let's say you want to improve your diet, before you go in there and like start changing up all the food that you're going to eat, understand that it's unlikely that that's going to be successful for you unless you understand why you eat the way you do in the first place. I even had this come up in a session this morning with one of my clients who's trying to do like a whole diet overhaul, and she hasn't really had a lot of success in the future, in the past. And it's a big the thing about American diets is we tend to have, the standard American diet anyways, is a lot of people tend to have a reliance on convenience food because people don't have a very intentional practice with their food and really put a lot of love and care and energy into the food that they're eating, which is fascinating to me, side note, because everything is energy. And so you're energetically, like if you were to hold a fresh, organic, like in-season vegetable from the farmer's market and then a McDonald's burger, like just imagine those two things, those scenarios, right? Like one of them is like living and full of this like nourishing, uplifting frequency, and then the other one's like dead and decaying. It's a side note. Anyways, so her big problem was not planning ahead, all of a sudden being starving like midday, like, oh God, I haven't eaten all day. And then what do? You just eat out, right? So she thought the problem was not meal planning ahead of time. And what I challenged her was, hang on, why don't you do that? There's a reason why you don't do that. It's not just the behavior, it's the story and the beliefs fueling the behavior. So we gotta look underneath the behavior at the stories and the beliefs And this is why I truly believe that coaching is so powerful, because what it does is it uncovers these core whys and it sheds light on these limited narratives, these subconscious beliefs that have been installed in you since you were a child, that is literally driving so much of your behavior. And we aren't taught these things. We aren't taught to do this deep level of self-reflection. You figure out like what your core beliefs are. Say it's going back to the food situation, right? You're like, I see myself doing this thing. Why am I doing this thing? And you figure out all the reasons why. Then your work is to reprogram those beliefs. And you get to literally change the story that is operating in the background, making you do all these things and show up in ways in your life that you're not happy about. This is how we get unstuck, because once you are running with different programming, it's all the stories, all the beliefs, you can think of that like, I always tell my clients, imagine your current belief system is like a software program on your computer, and there's lots and lots and lots and lots of files. And oftentimes the work is to go through each file and see what doesn't fit anymore and update it. So as you start to do that deep level of work, all of a sudden you've got a really sexy updated software program that now your system is running on. Once you do that, you can literally change any behavior, any habit, and get unstuck in your life. I have done so much of this work on myself, and I will just tell you, it is absolutely incredible how much this changes your vibration. Because a big part of your energy, which is literally creating everything in your life, like your energy is your most valuable resource. There's so many things that we do that drains our energy and disrupts our energy and causes imbalances in our frequency. That's a whole separate topic. One of the big things that really contributes to your energy is your belief systems. And so once I really went through and updated all of these files of these limited things that I had learned from my mom and my mom's mom and so on and so forth, and experiences that shaped me, I was able to actually change my life. Let me give you some examples. A really big part of my personal healing journey has been about learning how to soften into my feminine essence, my femininity. And I had no idea that for the longest time I was very in my masculine. And what was so interesting about sometimes how this conditioning can show up for us was that I actually wore that with a lot of pride. And it's actually very, very intelligent a lot of times. These like coping mechanisms that we develop as children are necessary in order for us to survive our circumstances at that time. And so in order to protect myself from the emotional damage that would have probably happened had I been more in tune with my emotions, I distanced myself from my emotions and I put up a shield. And behind that shield, I hid. I hid as this like tough, hyper-independent woman that like was always hanging out with dudes. And you know, it took me a long time to just even, you know, I was like a really strong leadership skills and very directional. And while all of that has really served me in a lot of ways, it made it very difficult for me to be able to receive. So anytime people would try to do nice things for me, you know, or especially when it came to money, like buying things for me, that's a whole separate thing I had to learn how to rewire. But just learning how to receive was very uncomfortable for me. And in fact, I had to really like look at my belief systems around what receiving actually is. In fact, I distinctly remember when this really became apparent to me and I started working and going on this journey. I was meeting someone at the farmer's market and they offered to buy me a coffee. And what I wanted was a cardamom oat milk latte, which at that time was only $5. And I felt so much stress in my body around asking for that. I was like, oh, they're offering to buy me a coffee, like, I'm sure they wouldn't prefer to be spending $5 on a signature latte for me. And it was literally down to that. Like I would experience so much unnecessary stress because I had just an absolute inability to receive anything from anyone. So what I wanted to illustrate was that when we are stuck, it's because there is this core belief system that is standing in the way, that is affecting what we're doing and the actions that we're taking. And so the work really is to go in there and diagnose the problem and change the whole story that you are drawing from, which is creating how you're showing up in life. And I just want to tell you that these stories, they show up and get their tendrils in all kinds of places. If you've been on this healing journey for a while, I'm sure you've had the experience where you're like, wow, I really thought that I healed that, and here it is again, right? This is a multi-dimensional, multi-layered experience, and it's so important that you really take time with yourself, have patience, and find resources and tools to help you move through this, rather than just seeing the behavior, the actions that you're taking, getting upset at yourself for not doing better, and then not understanding why you're not seeing change in your life. So I really hope that this video helped you. If so, I would love to hear more about your personal journey of things that you've tried and done to get unstuck. Or if you have any questions for me, you want to open up a dialogue, please drop me a comment. I do my best to get back to everybody. And do follow along. I would love for you to join part of my community, the Guiding Light community. I'm really here to help serve you in all the ways as you achieve your expansion and become whole and complete. So, looking forward to seeing you next time.